Hey everyone, George here. Today I just wanted to sit down real quick and talk to you about the 2024 horror film Heretic. This film was written and directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. They are the same guys who wrote the film A Quiet Place. This film stars Hugh Grant, Sophie Thatcher, Chloe East, and Topher Grace. With that out of the way, let me tell you what this film is about. Two Mormon missionaries, Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton, go door to door to educate people about the Mormon Church. On this particular day, they end up on the doorstep of a gentleman named Mr. Reed, who's played by Hugh Grant. He invites them in, and from there, the entire film becomes a tense, dialogue-driven, slow unraveling of belief, power, and religion. Yep, that's the film. The movie may sound simple, but I promise you that it's anything but. Real quick, I will cover spoilers later on in the video. I marked the spoiler section in the chapters below, and I will give you a heads up before we dive into that section. Now, Hugh Grant makes this movie work so well. He plays Mr. Reed immaculately. This is, of course, a far cry from the charmingly befuddled Hugh Grant that we all know from his romantic comedy days. In this film, he is still charming, and that's honestly what makes him so scary in this movie. He is 100% a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's calculated, philosophical, and witty. And as you watch this film, you are experiencing Hugh Grant's characters through the eyes of the two young protagonists. This aspect of the film is very unsettling because you're witnessing his fangs slowly coming out. Since one of the characters is naive and the other one is just trying to be polite in an uncomfortable situation, you get front row seats to a scary unraveling of a cold, calculated monster who is taking his time to reveal his intentions. In fact, most of the tension in this film comes from just listening to Hugh Grant talk. And honestly, it works beautifully. It's also important to say that Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East are also scene stealers in this movie. You really feel the pressure they're under and the slow erosion of their certainty. Seriously though, this movie puts three amazing performers together and has them play out several tense hours of their life. And you're just stuck there smack dab in the middle. Stylistically, this film is very minimalist. Most of it takes place in one house, the scenes are dimly lit, the camera doesn't move much, the editing is restrained, and you get the sense that every frame is designed to make you feel trapped, uncomfortable, and watched. Actually, a good comparison, at least in the exposition and emotion you get when watching Heretic, is the feeling you get when you watch the 2005 film Hard Candy. The strong dialogue-driven scenes, the claustrophobic setting, and the all-around great performances, it really reminds me of this film. Actually, it also reminds me even of the opening scene for the film Inglourious Basterds, where you have the German officer. He shows up to a French farm and politely speaks to the owner of the home, right? And the conversation does this beautiful shift from pleasantries to uncomfortability. The film Heretic captures the same feeling, except the shift from pleasantries to uncomfortability is much longer, so long so that it actually covers the first half of this film. This film can actually be broken up into two parts. The first part is very much just a monologue by Hugh Grant, while Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East play characters that are unknowingly strapped into this ride. The second half of this movie goes into spoiler territory, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, I say skip ahead. I have the chapters marked, and let's meet up when the spoiler section's over. Now, the second half of the film begins when the two main characters enter one of two doors. I do feel that though this second half of the movie is not as strong as the first half, I still really did enjoy it. In the second half of this film, Hugh Grant's monologues still continue, but this time around, the cracks in this character's calculations start to show. There is this scene that involves a prophet of God, which unexpectedly leans into some horror tropes. Even though the setup and the imagery of the scene is vastly different to what you were seeing on screen 20 minutes earlier, I still very much enjoyed this scene. Though one thing that did pull me out watching the second half of this film was just how deep his underground setup went. I was pulled out for a moment wondering how on earth did Hugh Grant's character build all this? Wouldn't this underground structure mess with the foundation of the home? In the film, he did say that there was metal in the ceilings and in the walls of the home. And we know that he was telling the truth because at a certain point in the film, the two girls are unable to use their cell phones. So wouldn't that also make the house super heavy? And then now the soil underneath this house is like completely hollowed out. Okay, he did say that there was a hill on the back of the house, but I'm also not buying the fact that, what did he do? He just broke open the walls of the back of his house and started digging diagonal and made like the staircase setup. And then from there, then he dug the entire underground structure under his house. I don't know. I'm not buying it. I still enjoyed the second half of this movie. I did. But that part, that aspect, seeing all this for the first time, the underground structures he had, just sort of pulled me out, honestly. But anyway, the horror genre is a genre that you kind of have to suspend your disbelief to actually enjoy. And so I was easily able to just be like, okay, shutting that part off and just enjoying what you're seeing in front of you. But like that little aspect did kind of like pull me out for a moment. Also, something else that I liked about this movie is the ending. By the time the final confrontation with Mr. Reed happens, only one of the two girls is alive. Sister Paxton ends up being the final girl in this movie, which is actually a nice surprise considering she was the naive and gullible one of the two. So when this final confrontation happens, it appears that Sister Barnes temporarily comes back to life and delivers the final blow to Mr. Reed, thus saving Sister Paxton's life. Sister Paxton then escapes, and we're left with a shot that causes some debate among viewers. It's actually this shot that breaks the fourth wall, and the filmmakers are actually playing a trick on you. The filmmakers are forcing you to question your opinion on faith and the supernatural. Something that I didn't like about this movie was the purpose of Mr. Reed's actions. Or actually, not really the purpose of Mr. Reed's actions, but I guess the way that it was figured out and revealed. But you know, that's the film Heretic in a nutshell. And honestly, it raises a lot of interesting ideas. Ideas like how belief systems function, or what happens when those systems are challenged, and also whether faith can survive under that kind of scrutiny. This film really does do some interesting things. The film starts off intellectual, then turns emotional, and then in the end it actually turns into something a little more abstract. Honestly, it's almost like this film starts off looking at the world through a scientific lens, and then over the course of the movie and everything it's gone through, it finds faith and accepts the supernatural in the end, which of course some viewers will like and others will not like. Well, that was the film Heretic. Honestly, I really did enjoy the movie, even the second half of the film. And if you have not seen the movie yet, I say go right now, go watch the movie. And if you've already seen it, feel free to leave a comment below telling me if you enjoyed it or not, or if you have any sort of opinions on the film. Bye.